Welcome to Gift of Life, the Organ Transplant Podcast. These are the stories of those who have received, given, and who are waiting for the gift of life, organ transplantation. Now here's your host and heart and kidney recipient, BJ Odom.
Welcome to the Gift of Life, the Organ Transplant Podcast, where we explore the extraordinary world of organ transplantation. Each week we share inspiring stories and introduce you to remarkable individuals sharing their own transplant stories. Be sure to support the podcast by leaving a 5-star review and subscribing on your preferred podcast platform. Have a transplant story yourself? You'd like to share it? Well, just send us an email. giftoflifepodcast@gmail.com. Again, that's giftoflifepodcast@gmail.com. You can also use that very same address if you have comments about the show. And don't forget to connect with us on Facebook, Gift of Life, the Organ Transplant Podcast. Hi, this is BJ Odom, and yes, I'm the guy with more parts than a chicken nugget. My new book, packed with laughs, heart, and the unbelievable true story of survival you've heard me talk about right here on the Gift of Life podcast. Get your copy today, More Parts Than a Chicken Nugget, available now on Amazon. As we welcome you to episode 89. Today's story is one of those moments where you can't help but say, only God could do this. Mary Ann was searching for a liver transplant when tragedy struck. The loss of her son's childhood best friend, Jared. She went to comfort the parents with nothing more than a condolence gift and a loving heart. But what happened next was a divine connection no one could have planned. Through grief, faith, and God's perfect timing, a mother's compassion turned into a miracle, and a life was saved. Stay tuned, because this is a story of loss, love, and an incredible gift of life. Stick around as we talk with both families, coming in next. So we do have Mary Ann, we have Angie, and her husband Steve all on the telephone with us today. And we're talking about organ donation. Of course, a liver has been received because, well, first of all, let's talk with Mary Ann. And why don't you tell us your story of what happened and why you were looking for a liver? Let's just start from the beginning.
Okay. Well, I never thought I would be in this situation, but I guess it all started when I went into the hospital for acute pancreatitis, and they determined that I needed to have my gallbladder removed. And so I underwent that surgery, and my gallbladder was like completely dead. And so, most people, they have gallbladder surgery and they're right back the next day and no worries, but not me. So I ended up having a lot of complications, and they had to do a lot of these procedures called ERCPs. And I haven't been told by the doctors that that's what caused it, but that's what I believe caused this rare disease. It's called secondary sclerosing cholangitis. And there's another disease called primary sclerosing cholangitis, but that has like a hereditary component. Whereas with mine, something had to have caused it. And what it did is it strictured my bile ducts. So it made it difficult for the bile to get through. And so they would have to put these stents in when they did the ERCPs. And that got complicated because like the first one moved, the next two got clogged, and then they ended up putting in a metal stent. And I had that, I think, for a couple months before they took it out. But then I ended up developing this secondary sclerosing cholangitis, and it was awful. I mean, I was yellow. I had no energy. I started having call it hepatic encephalopathy, where your brain's not really thinking right. I had a little bit of ascites. So it it was just, I basically became a shell of myself. And then I was on Facebook and I saw Angie's post about Jared, and I really struggled about what to do because we hadn't seen each other in 11 years. And, but I knew how close a friendship Jared and Philip had. I mean, they had a great childhood. They were just back and forth between our houses. We have a creek at the end of the road, and they would grab their fishing poles and their buckets. And I think they were like 8 or 9 or something. They'd be walking down the street to go fishing. And it was just a magical time.
I like how you always describe it as Mayberry.
Yeah, it was like living in Mayberry. It was just a magical time for the kids. And, like they were on swim team together, and Philip would run over to Angie's house and knock on the door for Jared, and Jared would be in bed.
Hop right out of bed. Philip.
They just, ride their bikes to swim team practice. So it was really a great childhood. And so even though we hadn't seen each other in 11 years, I couldn't imagine what Angie and Steve were going through. And I really struggled with what to do. And then I decided I had received what's called a prayer shawl when my father passed away. And so I asked my friend who worked at, I call it the friary. What's it called? The Shrine of St. Anthony.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
It's just down the road from our house, actually.
Yeah. And so so I went and I bought this beautiful butterfly box that I just think like birds and butterflies and stuff kind of represent visits from our loved ones. And so I got a prayer shawl and I put it inside, and I was like, should I call? Should I not call? And then I was like, well, I'm just going to stop by, and if they're home, great. If not, I'm just going to, leave it here. And I was thankful that Angie was here, and I didn't want to intrude, but I just wanted to pass this along. I just didn't know what I could do to bring them comfort, and I wanted them to know that, we were all praying for them. And so I did that, and Angie recognized that I didn't look right, and I didn't go into the full details, just that I was sick and needed a liver transplant, and I was thankful that she was praying for me, because I swear to God, I mean, I truly believe that all the prayers and positive energy that people gave to me, that's what got me through. That is why I'm here today, to tell my story, because in order for this to happen, there's so many things along the way that needed to transpire, and
Nothing short of a miracle.
It really isn't. And Steve was saying that he received the word that Jared's death will bring new life, and Angie was inspired to save my life, but she also moved. So I was on the donor list to receive a deceased donor liver. And so by me coming off of that list, then that moves somebody else up on the list. And our hope and our goal with spreading the word of this is to reach out to those who may be going through something similar, and give them hope, and turning to Jesus and God, and just put it in his hands, and miracles happen. And
now one thing I'd like to note here, because we talked about the backstory a little bit before we went on the podcast, and so Angie and Steve's son had passed away, and you came with prayers and gifts because of that, right?
Correct.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we covered it correctly there, so everybody would be on board what we're talking about. So thank you very much. Okay. Continue.
Yeah, and so the other thing is, by spreading our story, we're hoping more lives will be saved, because people will realize not only can you be a live donor, but if you undergo robotic surgery, it's going to be much easier in terms of the recovery, in terms of the pain and the scarring.
A lot less chance of infection.
Oh, yeah.
The outcomes are much greater, chance for quicker recovery, et cetera, et cetera. And one thing to note too about the robotic surgery, that was the first time that had ever been done at Johns Hopkins here in Maryland, and they believe it was the first time it had ever been done in all of Maryland. So they were able to make history as well as a result of, the tragic death of our son, which we'll talk about in a little bit here more, but that enabled them to make history as far as that goes in a way that we could have never envisioned. And that was actually announced or requested of Angie the morning of the surgery. We didn't even know about it in advance. The doctor himself came in and was requesting, hey, we think you're a good candidate for this. Would you be willing to do this? And Angie, what was your reaction to that?
Oh, well, I knew for sure that I was going to do it. And I told him, yes, I'd be happy to do it, because I just knew that the way everything turned out, or the way all of the things that happened prior to the surgery was just, there were just so many things that
maybe that's a good opportunity
beyond,
to tell that story.
Yeah, they were beyond coincidences. So the very first one, of course, was when we were on a mission trip, and my husband received a word from the missionary there that already knew my son and him, because they had done a mission trip a couple years before. He had been praying for us, and my husband was having kind of a meltdown, and he had heard about it. And so he came to where my husband was, and he said that he'd been praying for him, and that he got a word for him, and that he said from Jared's death, that from death there's going to be life. And so my husband, he wrote it down in his journal, and we didn't think much of it at the time. So anyway, when we got back from the mission trip, I saw the post that Marianne had made about considering being a live donor. And because of just the inspiration from my son, as well as the fact that my son and her son were childhood best friends, I just asked my husband, I said, what do you think if I, see if I'm a match? And he said, honey, go ahead. And I think that you should go for it. And so I did. And after all the testing and imaging, it ended up being that I was a complete match for her, a perfect match.
Yeah, she not only was a good match, they characterized it as a great match.
Yeah, because we're like the same height and the same
build.
The same build, and so everything would be like the perfect fit, same blood type and everything. And they just said yes. They said, you're a perfect match. Would you be willing to do it? And I said yes. And I called Marianne and I told her, and she was excited, but she was a little bit nervous because she knew that I had been going through so much. It had only been months that my son had passed away.
Yeah,
and
Jared passed away March 7th of 2024, and this was all started to occur
around July,
late July, August timeframe, just a few months later.
Now, let me ask you this too. Because of Jared's passing, do you think this helped you to get through the whole ordeal? Or was it just something you felt you needed to do?
I think that it helped me to get through the whole ordeal as well, because it was just something that I needed to do to help somebody else. And when you're helping somebody else, that is like you're healing yourself at the same time. That's just something that happens, right?
Yeah, the way I've used it with some of my coworkers is there's no better medicine for this level of tragedy or any kind of sorrow, I guess, in general, than to go and help somebody else. Because like Angie just said, it's medicine for you to help your healing process as well and your grief journey as you outwardly mourn for the loss of your loved one. And, the Bible tells us, we are to comfort others as God has comforted us when those things have come upon us. And, God at the time, he was writing our own version of Romans 8:28, where he can take any kind of tragedy and turn it into something good. And boy, did he ever do that in a big way with our story.
I think the other weave of this story is that when Jared passed, he was 23. And so he will be forever 23. And so the number 23 keeps popping up in our lives in the most amazing ways. Like, I told the story to someone who had observed the surgery because it was groundbreaking. There were a lot of observers of like medical students and things.
Yeah.
And one of the or I think it was a resident or something, he had said that was the best liver transplant he had ever observed. I don't know, what all that means, but that was kind of cool. But when I told her the story about the significance of 23, she said, "Oh my God, during your surgery, the surgeon was looking for instrument 23, like MJ's number."
Yeah, Michael Jordan.
And I just got chills. I was like, "Oh my God."
Yeah, we knew better. That was a God reference to Jared.
Yeah, because his birthday was actually November 30th. And the surgery was December 3rd. So I had made a post and I had said, happy heavenly birthday to my son, forever 23. And so then 23 during the surgery just kept coming up. When I was able to get into my room for recovery.
Yeah, out of ICU. Right? Yeah,
out of the ICU. There was a plaque above my head and it was number 23. And then... And right there in the front of the door, it was Lynchard, room 23. And so I was just like, wow, that is like so cool.
All of the nurses and the medical professionals, working on these guys knew that. And they didn't know that in advance when they assigned the room, of course. But when they came in and told us, we all just kind of did a double take, like, what did you just say? Room 23? It was just another reminder that God was with us, and he was continually reminding us that he's still in control, and he's comforting us and reminding us that, Jared, he professed his faith in Christ, and he's alive and well in heaven today. And we're looking forward to, being reunited with him and meeting our Savior once and for all. It's, I get sort of teary-eyed sometimes telling the story. I'm holding it back now for the podcast here. Sometimes you'll catch me pausing, but that's why.
Not a problem. Yeah. I mean, with all the things I've been through in my life too, there are definitely times that I get teary-eyed, and I can only imagine losing a son. It's got a weight on you, and with all that weight that was on you. Now, Steve or Angie, was there ever a time after you started the process that you went, "Oh, I've been through so much. Do I really want to do this?"
Actually, that's funny that you say that, because
that's a good story there. What happened with our grief organization with TAPS, the Tragedy Assistance Program for Survivors. It's a private charitable organization that really focuses on military who have lost loved ones, regardless of the reason. And they especially have a good program for those who have lost their son the way we did. And well, at this point, I'll turn it over to Angie, because I was an eyewitness to this, but Angie, tells the story much better than I can. It's her story anyway.
Yeah. So what happened was, what happens is that TAPS gives you a mentor, and the mentor that they gave me lives in Texas. And so we went to a conference in San Antonio, Texas, and I got to meet her for the first time, but she was very busy. Since she is a mentor, I wasn't able to sit and talk with her for a very long time. But then she told me, "Hey, let's meet at this table for lunch." And right before that, I just had they have these little classes that you go to. So the class that I went to was just talking about how when we're in grief, that we're not exactly in our right minds, because you're in a fog and
obvious reasons.
Yeah. And so the instructor or the teacher gave the advice. He says, I would recommend that nobody makes huge decisions while you're in grief. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, I made this a really huge one. So I just that was just something that just kind of came to my head, like, oh my gosh, did I make the right decision? And was this because of grief? So anyway, just after that class, I went and I met with my peer mentor. And
this wasn't probably what the conference seminar was like late October-ish, roughly.
Yeah.
And the surgery for the whole thing to donate your liver was just weeks away. It was in early December. So
yeah,
we're bumping up on the timeline here, BJ, when this happened.
Yeah. So anyway, when I'm sitting with my friend, my peer mentor, she asked me how everything's going. And then I told her, I said, I don't know. I just got out of a class and, I made this huge decision and they're saying you probably shouldn't make huge decisions while you're grieving. And she just smiled at me. And then she also had a peer mentor at the table that she knew. They became friends, very good friends years before because they both lost their sons. And she says, I want you to meet Sue. And Sue was literally sitting across the table from me. And she came over and she said, this is my friend Sue. And she's also a liver recipient, but she got it from what do you call it?
Deceased donor.
I'm sorry, she got it from a deceased donor. But Sue looked at me and she says, oh my gosh, what you're doing is wonderful. And then I could not believe that. I said, there's no way that was a coincidence. And that was just crazy.
That was another God nod, him orchestrating, affirmation for you that you're doing the right thing.
Yeah. And so any kind of doubt that I had just went away. It was gone because what are the chances of that?
I think the other thing to note is that the donor can decide to not donate all the way up to being wheeled into the surgery room.
Yeah, they can.
And so,
just before they get knocked out, they can go, I changed my mind.
Yeah, they can. And
I didn't know that, but that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, because it's such a big deal. And so as Angie would update me, I didn't want to ask her how things were going. I was waiting for her to come to me because I was just really concerned about her doing this because she had lost so much, and I'm not used to asking for help. I'm usually the one giving help. So it was kind of an odd situation for me. I mean, it was definitely a blessing, but now that we've been through this process and, the surgery happened on December 3rd of last year, which was Giving Tuesday. And, what greater gift can one give?
And that, again, that's another guy. We didn't even know that at the time, at least Angie and I didn't. Mm-hmm. We didn't know it until after the surgeries were over when Mary Ann's husband, Mark, came to me, or maybe to us both after we were in the recovery room in ICU. Yeah. And he said, you guys realize it's National Giving Day today, right? And I just wanted to, say a big thank you for giving Mary Ann the gift of life on National Giving Day. And we were, again, just blown away. It was another God nod that it happened on Giving Day for the whole nation. It was insane. It was totally radical.
Yeah.
Now, Mary Ann, when did you first find out? Because it sounds like she didn't tell you right away till she knew she was a legitimate donor. So when was it that she actually told you?
Was it August?
I think it was around July or August.
It had to be August because we just got back from the mission trip in July.
Yeah.
So it took a little long.
Mary Ann's, a lot of her family and friends, they weren't a match for either because of blood type or any other underlying condition. And I called her and I said, Mary Ann, I'm going to go ahead and see if I qualify. And I think that must have been like late July when we got back from that mission trip.
Yeah, but that was, I mean, it's just amazing. And I have to say, like, not just me, but my entire family has been so impressed with Angie and Steve and how their faith, they give it to God. And it's really been good for me in terms of my spirituality, going through this whole experience and, you know, feeling like I've got two angels. I've got one on earth, which is Angie, and I've got Jared in heaven. And I just know that God is looking over us all. And it's been very heartwarming for me to experience that.
Now I'm going to ask a question here where a lot of times, like, it could even be a donor that is, you know, someone that they didn't even know, but they step forward going, I want to give a kidney, or I want to give part of my liver to someone else. And they go through the process and then they find out, you know, well, oh, this is Mary Ann who got your liver, and they become so close. Now, you people were very close before. So did this change the closeness of the family, or how did that all work out?
Oh, yes, for sure.
Absolutely.
I mean, Mary Ann and I, we were close, but it was mostly our sons that shared their time together. And we just would see each other, and we would, you know, she'd invite us over for dinner, but it wasn't a closeness that we share like we do now. I mean, now I love Mary. I love
Angie.
Yeah. We just like, it's become like almost like a family. Like we just, I want her to do well. Like she's in my prayers all the time. And it's so different. It's closer now. We're much closer.
And that's what I hear from a lot of donors. Yeah. That after the surgery, even if they didn't know each other in the first place, they become almost intertwined and become very, very close.
Yeah.
Well, Angie's a part of me now.
Yeah, literally.
Literally. Oh, get this, BJ. They gave us the exact percentage of Angie's liver that was put inside Mary Ann. It was 62% of Angie's liver was donated to Mary Ann. 62%.
Okay.
And I think, was it a month or 6 weeks later, it was full size?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
like 4 months, about 4 months, it was completely full, back to regular size.
4 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks.
Oh yeah, 4 to 6
months.
weeks. That's right. Yeah.
I think it was the right size, but then it was still like growing at the cellular.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. And
the liver's an amazing organ.
It is. And with this new robotic surgery, oh my goodness, the recovery is so swift. I mean, and the scarring is so minimal. And
You came home in 5 days and were walking around in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Without much issue.
Awesome.
It's amazing how, and the scarring, I mean, the only thing that was like a stitch was the little stitch of a little patch that's like the smallest Band-Aid size. Do you know the little round Band-Aid?
Yeah.
You would call it like a popsicle stick size.
Yeah.
Oh, is that it? Okay.
I don't know.
So, yeah.
Now, how many places did they need to go in?
There were 5 little incisions. Little incisions that like they were as small as if you were to push a popsicle stick in.
Mm-hmm.
That's how small they were.
And then the one.
And of course, then there's the one
underneath your
like
belly button.
Yeah, that's kind of like a little small C-section scar where they actually had to remove it.
That's where the liver comes out.
Yeah.
Now, Mary Ann, how was your recovery?
My recovery's been a roller coaster. I have a Mercedes scar. The only way I'll ever get a Mercedes. It's the Mercedes symbol on my belly. So I have a pretty big scar. And so we went on December 3rd. I went home December 22nd, and December 23rd, I was right back in the hospital again. I had, it was very strange. I had fallen. And so of course, when you're I'm on all kinds. I was,
that's right. I forgot
on
about
all
that.
kinds of medicine, and I was on a blood thinner, and so anytime you fall, and like I had hit my head, and so I had to go in, and so that was kind of scary because we were driving to the hospital, and we didn't go to the closest hospital. We went to Johns Hopkins. And I have to say, I have to give a lot of kudos to the transplant floor, my transplant team. They were amazing.
Oh, yeah.
So like when
Johns Hopkins is world renowned. I don't know if you are familiar with Johns Hopkins, BJ, but you probably are.
Yeah, but I just, called my team, told them what happened. They found me a hospital bed. I didn't have to go through the ER. And so I got there and was in a room right away. So that was really, really great.
Another part of the backstory, BJ, that gave us some super awesome comfort from the Lord was when we found out the date of the surgeries was going to be December 3rd of 2024. I got another one of my nudges from the Holy Spirit to go and look at the date of something that had occurred the previous year that happened with Jared, our son. He was invited to a church down at Cherry Point where he was stationed in the Marines, Cherry Point, North Carolina. It's in Havelock, North Carolina. It's a big Marine Corps air station. He was invited to attend a church by some folks where he got a subwoofer installed in his car. And he went and attended church with them. And he was so motivated and inspired by that sermon. He actually called me on the way home to basically re-preach the message to me over the phone. And of course, that was a proud dad moment for me. I was all teary-eyed on the phone with him, but I didn't, let him know that I was all teary-eyed. It was just, I was like, oh, wow, man, that's cool. That's an awesome message. And, we had a good chat about it. And, then we, went about our days. But then later when all this tragic stuff happened, I was reminded by the Holy Spirit about that message to just kind of go because I remembered it being roughly around right after Thanksgiving, December timeframe. And so when I went and found where that church was and looked up the sermon, because I was able to figure out by the sermon title and the content of the sermon, the date that took place. And lo and behold, you're not going to believe this, the date of that sermon where he was in church listening to that message was December 3rd, the exact date 12 months earlier in 2023. And then get this, the title of the sermon was The Perfect Plan. You can't make that stuff up. No, man, that was just totally radical. That was another reminder from God that don't worry, things are going to be okay. I know it's rough right now, but I'm turning this tragedy into something triumphant to not only give, honor and glory to your son by what your wife is doing for Marianne, but, to bring glory to him and, to share this story, just tell the truth and let whatever happens. We're just doing what we can to, lift his name up and share the story.
And how are you both doing today? Not because of the surgery, but, everything that's happened in your life in the last few years.
Oh, I'm doing well. I mean, of course, I have days where I'll hear a song and I miss him I miss my son so much. That's never going to change, but I'm doing well. I feel good.
Well, that's good.
I feel like
the same. That the tears and the hurt are never going to go away. There's just some scarring tissue, and you learn how to carry it, but you don't really move on from it. You learn how to carry it, and the tears, while they still occur, they're less frequent. Mm-hmm. But we're doing well. Is basically the net of it, and it's our faith and hope that we have in Christ, and we have something to look forward to. Our time on earth is so short compared to eternity, so it's that doesn't mean we're not going to have pain and suffering while we're here, but we have we have our Lord and Savior to help us, walk through that when it happens.
Well, Marianne,
I really enjoyed it. There's a story that Angie shared with me. It was a dream that she had about Jared, and it just rings so true. It was like he was. Well, why don't you tell it? It was like he was in the other room.
Oh, right. Oh, the one where he was like his age and I saw him.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's just showing how fast life is, because I just remember having a dream of him where he was the age that he was, 23, and I was looking at him and I thought, oh my gosh, that's my son. I was at a dance. And then I jumped off of the bleachers, because it was like a high school dance or something. I don't know. And I jumped off the bleachers. And as soon as I jumped off the bleachers, I was in his room and he was a little boy. And I just saw him in bed and I said, hey, it's time to get up. And I said, I'm going to make you breakfast. And I just gave him a kiss on his cheek. And it was just so soft and cushy, just like when he was a little boy. And it just shows how it was like so true that like time just goes by so fast. It's like a vapor in the wind, this life. And before you know it, I'll be with my son again. And I'll just be very happy to see him. I can't wait.
well,
there's something really cool too, as far as at least Angie's surgeon is concerned. We found this out later too, and I did a little bit of research about the staff and, the whole transplant unit at Johns Hopkins. None of this is surprising in hindsight because of the reputation that Johns Hopkins has. But Angie's surgeon, Dr. Filosof, he's like the whole transplant unit director. I mean, he's the man, and he was the one that performed the surgery on Angie using the robot. And he is basically the robot guy at Johns Hopkins transplant unit. So
he's an amazing guy.
He's an amazing dude. Yeah.
And his whole team, the transplant team, was just amazing. Gosh, I just couldn't have been happier.
We didn't know any of this because, they're all so humble and they just do their job, and they're just trying to take care of people. And, I had to go on their website and read all about it. It's like, dang, you realize who your surgeon is?
Yeah, and the thing is that I found with the surgeon, like all the surgeons, is that they were so nice. Yeah. I've had instances where I've had surgeons that were not nice and would not, like after the surgery, they would sit with me and
they even posed for pictures with us.
Yeah.
Now, of course, I know yours was a lot easier than Marianne's recovery. Now, do you, because I know Marianne, because I'm a transplant patient also, although it's a heart and a kidney. Okay. So I get blood work like every 3 months and see the doctor at least every year now that I'm 23 years out on the heart, and it was 2015 when I got my kidney. So what I was going to ask was, Angie, how often do you need to go back in to see checkups, or it's just if you feel something's wrong, or how does that work?
Yeah, I had to go in every 3 months. And then when it came to the 1 full year, which just happened December 3rd, I just had a Zoom call, and I have to do blood work, and I still haven't done that. I need to do that this week. But she, my nurse practitioner, Ashley, she's just like, everything has gone good. Your blood work throughout the entire year has been just great. And she said she doesn't have any worries at all. And I feel great. I'm back to playing tennis, and I do everything that I was doing before. I mean, everything. Nothing. I feel like I didn't even have the surgery. And I was expecting that huge hockey stick scar, and I didn't even get that. So everything was just amazing how it happened. Like, wow, what a blessing that I got to be the first person to receive that surgery at Hopkins. And it was just so, like, it was just so.
It went better than any of them expected.
Yeah, like it was so invasive, I mean, it was just, I feel so blessed and so lucky that I was the one that got to experience. And then now, of course, there are many who have done it.
Yeah, one of your initial follow-ups after like a couple of months or whatever, Ashley was saying how many robot surgeries, donor surgeries that they had? It was like 9.
Yeah, that was already. And that was just like after 3 months.
Just a couple of months, 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
it went so well that, the word was getting out and they were starting to, tell people about it as they came in.
Now, besides your fall, Marianne, how has your first year recovery went, and how often are you having to see the doctor? Because I know us transplant patients, after a while, the donors can kind of go their own way, but we're kind of stuck in the doctor's offices every once in a while. It's just part of the program, as they say.
Yeah, like I said, it's been a roller coaster. It really has. I think I've been back in the hospital maybe 4 or 5 times since the transplant. I don't know about heart patients, but I know with liver patients, they call us very leaky. I mean,
you've had a few leaks, right?
Fluids going everywhere, and so you have the scar, and then you have like in hospital you have these drains, and then you get out of the hospital, and you have gauze and stuff, and it got to where I had to stuff my incision, and it just wasn't closing up. So they had to go back in and clean everything out and stitch me up. And then there were a couple times that I had, so with a live donor, what's different from a deceased donor is there's only one, I guess artery or something. There's that I get. And so they had to go in and put a balloon in there because it was narrowing. So they had to do that. They also had to do, I can't remember what it was called, but because my bile ducts were in such bad shape, they had to kind of reroute things so that they didn't use my old bile ducts. So it went directly, I guess, wherever it was supposed to go. But, and I've had some times, where I was exhibiting signs of rejection. They do that, from the blood work, they can tell. And so, just medicine adjustments and stuff. And, that I was on that devil's tic tac prednisone for a while.
That really messes you up.
Oh my God, I can't stand that stuff.
let me just tell Angie and Steve, if she ever yells at you and screams at you and acts crazy, just know that she's probably in rejection and she has prednisone inside her.
Okay. Hasn't happened yet.
Well, the one
she's
thing,
all smiles.
I'm on a liver transplant Facebook page, which is, I think that's how I met you. And that page is so great because I was prepared as much as you can be prepared. So one thing they said is that a lot of times after the surgery, you're crazy. You have that, you're on the high doses of prednisone and you have hallucinations and stuff. So right after when I woke up, I think it lasted for about 2 days. Whenever I closed my eyes, I would hallucinate these weird faces and stuff. But I'm okay, it's a hallucination. And I just got through it.
All I remember is my daughter, who was actually 16 years of age at the time when I had my heart surgery, was, home alone. And all I remember is calling my brother-in-law saying, "You gotta go get my daughter. She's all by herself. Just go get her. She can't be there by herself." And everybody said, "Oh, she is 16, she's all right."
Yeah. Oh, man.
Well, is there anything that we missed or anything else that we might want to talk about before we let y'all go?
I mean, just closing, or one thought for me that I was, one of the biggest things that I've learned and have taken away from this is just, I'm a different person, as you could imagine. The loss of our son, and then the liver transplant, and everything else that's occurred. God nod, other things. It's just my way of thinking and way of living now is just so laser focused on an eternal perspective, and the fact that life here on earth is short. Don't get too upset. Don't get stressed out, get anxious about stuff. just take it in stride. And, hopefully we can, through our story, we can share, save some lives, physically from an earthly perspective. And maybe some people will come to know God through Jesus as well, for the, an eternal perspective, from a spiritual saving of lives as well. And, there's probably a couple of things that we probably could share as well from Jared's friends, that, Marines that have come to be part of our family, more or less. Jared has several friends that took his death very hard. And we heard it said from our seminars and conferences we've attended with TAPS, the Tragedy Assistance Program for Survivors, that out of all the branches of the military, it's usually the Marines that stay close and connected and maintain relationship with the families. And boy, has that ever not been true for us in our case, with Jared as a Marine and his fellow Marines that were in his unit. Because even though we lost Jared, our one and only son, our oldest child at 23, we've gained multiple Marine sons as a result of losing him, and most of which don't have fathers, and at least one of them has neither a father or a mother.
And we've taken them under our wings, and we visit them and they visit us, and it's just amazing it's just so amazing what God has given us. Even after all of this. One of them wants, when he has a son, he wants to give Jared as his first son's middle name. And he's become like a son to me. He lost his dad when he was a senior in high school. And another couple, they want Angie and I to be godparents of their first child. And they're actively trying to have a child right now. Yeah. So it's just amazing. I mean, another interesting thing too, BJ, that's, I always like to share, and I'm going to work it in now since we're toward the end. Jared loved, serving Jesus. He loved serving his country as a Marine. He loved serving other people. He just had a kind heart. He was like an old soul in a young body. And we are really trying to emulate that more and more as we, get older and get closer to retirement. He's really changed us. And, as far as service goes, we love the military in our family. I'm actually former Air Force. I was active duty in the Air Force, and Angie's former Navy. And then Jared became a Marine. And our daughter, Elena, our other child, she's serving in the Army. So we have all four branches covered just, with the four of us. With Jared, as the Marine, the Marines always had a special place in our hearts because we put them on a higher pedestal than the other branches, because we just love the Marines. And when he decided to become a Marine, man, that was another proud papa, teary-eyed moment when he called me on the phone when he decided, he wanted to join the Marines. That was awesome, because my grandfather, he served in World War II. He earned 2 Purple Hearts as a Marine. And my dad, he tried to join the Marines but couldn't because of a bad back. And then me, I wanted to be around airplanes, so I joined the Air Force. And so it skipped 2 generations and went to Jared. He picked up the ball and became a Marine. So that's the other thing I wanted to share. Something that I'd like to share is for anyone who would like to do something like donate part of their liver or a kidney or whatever, I would say go for it, because
absolutely,
it is just the new surgeries that they have with this robotic surgery is just, it's amazing. Like, you will do something to help another person, to give life, and it is like so much easier than the way it used to be. It's gosh, I can't even describe what the surgery did to help Marianne and me. And it's just I would just tell people that if you even feel like you want to do it, to just go for it, because you will be just so grateful for the rest of your life for it.
And any last things from you, Marianne?
Yeah, I think I recently saw a speech from a guy that I used to go to college with. He was working on getting a school up and running for a place up in Sri Lanka, and he was talking about how he met this woman, like she was his Uber driver, and they got to talking. And one thing that he said throughout the speech, I won't go into all of it, but what really struck with me was serendipity and how to be open for when things happen. When to be like, Steve talks about the God nods, is that you need to be open. Like Angie was open when she saw that Jared and God were speaking to her through my post. And the other thing he talked about is to make a wave. We can't solve all the world's problems, but we can solve something in our lives like this. It truly is a wave, because
the ripple effect.
Mm-hmm. And I think that Jared is saving lives, not just mine, but with people who may not have chosen to give because they didn't want to have that scar, or they were afraid of the recovery. I would love to hear back from somebody if they're inspired to donate. The other thing that I don't know if you want to talk about it, but you would mention that you want to start a foundation.
Oh yeah. At some point in the near future, in the next year or so, we plan on starting a foundation to continue furthering the story and helping folks, and to honor Jared and to honor the Lord as much as we can with the resources that we have, and hopefully that comes to fruition in the next year or so. It's a process, but I'm doing a lot of research and figuring out what the next steps are. But yeah, we'll definitely more to come on that.
All right. Well, I appreciate you guys for jumping on with me today, and hope everybody, I know everybody will. This is a very kind of interesting, and this will be the first, because I think, as many episodes as we've done, this is definitely a different angle, and I appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for
welcome.
helping us spread the word.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you, BJ.
Thank you, Marianne, Steve, and Angie, for sharing this remarkable transplant story. And if you have a transplant story to share, please send us an email. It's giftoflifepodcast@gmail.com. Again, that's giftoflifepodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook. And don't forget to like and share this episode with family and friends. And we would appreciate a 5-star review on your favorite podcast platform. Reminder, my memoir, More Parts Than a Chicken Nugget, it isn't just a medical story. It's a survival story filled with humor, hope, and heart. It'll make you laugh, maybe cry, and definitely believe in second chances. Get it now on Amazon. More Parts Than a Chicken Nugget. Another podcast you might enjoy is myself and my old former radio partner, Bill Stevens. BJ and Bill, the podcast, all on the Podcast Playground Network. And we want to thank them for making this podcast possible. Until next time, I'm BJ Odom. Thank you so much for being a part of our journey and reminding us all to appreciate each and every day and to treasure the extraordinary gift of life.
He was running on empty, heart fading fast. Doctor said, man, you ain't gonna last. But a stranger's kindness, a gift so true, turned the night sky into something new. He got a second chance, he got a brand new spark. Like a freight train rolling back from the dark. Gift of life, let the story be told. another takes hold. Give a little, save a soul. Ain't no greater rock and roll. 15 years later, the road got rough. The fight ain't over when the climb is tough. Needed a kidney, the race was on. Another hero stepped up, kept him strong. Every breath he takes is a tale of hope. One life saved, another can cope. Gift of life, let the story be told. One heart beats, another takes hold. Give a little, save a soul. Ain't no greater rock and roll. Doctor's hands, a donor's grace, running on down to a brand new place. Second chances don't come twice, but when they do, man, they feel so nice. So let's spread the word, let the people know. One yes today lets a miracle grow. You don't need wings just to save a man, just a little love, a helping hand. Gift of life, let the story be told. One heart beats, another takes hold. Give a little, save a soul. Ain't no greater rock and roll. BJ still rocking, still standing tall. Thanks to the ones who gave it all. Gift of life, hear the sound. Pass it on, pass it down. The Gift of Life podcast hosted by BJ Odom. Listen now.